Hey everybody, it's Jamie here. I'm so excited because today we have Kate with us and for the OMG show, and I am super excited to have her here. So Kate, say hello. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey everybody. Well, I was just saying to Jamie, I'm here in Boston and we just have this phenomenally gorgeous day. And I don't know about you all, but I'm a Leo. I love the summer and I try to make sure I get plenty of time. So I've built my business around my life and that's what I teach my clients to do instead of the other way around.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
How did you get into that?
My own business?
Yeah, tell me a
Yeah.
little bit about your
Yeah. So,
story.
yeah. So I was in corporate. I was doing business development for about 16 years, which meant calling on clients, all those cold calls and dealing with rejection and figuring out magic price point and sales conversations and all that stuff. And I was fortunate. I kept a lot of my clients for the whole entire time I was there. And Jamie, I'm a bit of an introvert. So for me to do that, that was huge.
Yeah.
And, it was very successful, made a pile of money, and then the economy tanked and it was considered probably one of the worst recessions in history. And I got other offers, and you just sometimes you just feel like I just don't want to do this again. So I ended up just kind of accidentally starting my own business, not really knowing what I was doing. I figured, well, gee, I knew what I was doing in corporate. So, you kind of sit there and say, well, if I could do it before, I can try to figure it out. And anybody who has their own business knows it's not the same thing. I don't care how successful you were in corporate. We have our own business. It's not the same.
Yeah.
Nothing brings fears and doubts and old stories faster. So anyways, long story short, that's how I started this. I struggled a lot in the beginning, hit six figures in the beginning of year two, and it's been skyrocketing since.
That's amazing. So, tell me a bit about how you work with clients today. Like, what does like an engagement look like with working with you?
Well, the thing about me, Jamie, is I always have a coach. In fact, I very often I have a couple of coaches at a time, which I do right now. And
Yeah.
the thing I do know is that none of us can ever do this alone. We can't, because you think about how can you know how to do something if you've never done it before, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, it's like, let's say you want to cook something and, you can go online and find the recipe, but I'd say there's probably certain things that need to be tweaked. It isn't as simple as just the ingredients lined out and preheat the oven, and that's when I'll call my mom, who's a gourmet cook, because I'm definitely not a gourmet cook. And I'll just say, like, how do I do this? Or she'll give me the little tip, she goes, I know they say do that, but do this.
Yeah.
And so that's how I kind of look at coaching, is that how I work with my clients and how I work with my coach is that it's somebody who knows how to do what I want to do. But they also understand who I am, because there's a lot of different ways, that expression, a lot of different ways to skin a cat.
Yeah.
And, you may have your style, someone else may have a different style. And it's really being in tune is, what is that person's style? How do I bring them into their brilliance? Because it's doing something that, like I mentioned, I'm a bit of an introvert. So with my coach say, Kate, I need you to stand and dance on the tables to get clients, that's not going to appeal to me, because that's who I am. But somebody who is an extrovert might go like, oh my God, I love that. Let me get started. So it's understanding a person's style, really helping them get clarity on what is it they want to create,
Yeah.
and getting them into action, then helping them with all the fears and doubts and old stories that pop up. Because that really what shows up the most. But the biggest thing that I found in my proprietary system, Jamie, is the freak out zone.
Yeah.
And what it means is that, let's say, I'll just give you a real easy example. Let's say, you're coaching with me and I teach you how to charge what you're worth, and all that's great. But it means maybe before, and I'm just making up numbers because I have no clue where you are. But let's say
Yeah.
you were charging 50 and now you're going to charge $100 an hour.
Yep.
And that's double. That's a big amount. But yet you're like, yep, I'm ready. I've been giving it away long enough. I need to make more money. All the rational reasons are there. But the first person who says no to you, like they go, that's too much. What the average person will do is go scurrying back to their comfort zone, saying, see, I never should have done it. I should have left it where it was. It's too much money. If I had been at 50, she would have said yes. And we tell ourselves all these reasons of why we shouldn't do that thing because of what happened. And then we go running back. So one of my other parts as a coach is help people through that,
Okay.
and helping them kind of get into that new identity of being that $100 an hour person, or 200 or 500 or $1,000 an hour person, because I work brand new up to seven figures, everywhere in between. But also helping them too with a skill set to get someone to say yes, because it's different at $50 an hour than it is at 100.
Yeah.
And so it's really about, in a nutshell, really understanding everyone's an individual. Everyone has an individual goal. How do I help you get there?
Yeah. I love that. So I would love to know, like, how did you get to where you are today, right? Because like, what are some of like the obstacles that you've had to overcome? What are some of the challenges that you face? Like, how did you get, like, just like you were saying, how did you actually go from where you were to where you are today, and then to where you want to go?
Did you have like 10 hours? The thing is, and this is so serious for everyone listening, really take this to heart, is that any of us who are successful now, we didn't start out this way. We failed so many times, and some of them you may have seen, and a lot more you never even saw. And that's so important to realize, because we screw up all the time. And what I find with a lot of clients is that they're so afraid to step into something because they see what some of us are doing, and they're like, oh, won't look as good. And what they don't realize is this may be my third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh rendition of the same thing.
Yeah. Or 100th.
Exactly. And that's what's so important to understand, because most people don't get that. And they just see, like one client of mine, she just saw, she had to do a website and, put it out for her business. And she was so afraid to, because she looked around and said all these fancy websites. And I was telling her, like, she talked about mine. I said, but you don't understand, this is like my sixth rendition of my website. My first one didn't look like this. And I will guarantee you, everybody else you're talking about, it's the same thing. And so for me, part of it is, in the beginning, so much going on of where to focus in, right? Because as an entrepreneur, especially online, oh my God, you look around and it's like you need to have everything, right? You got to have the fancy logo in the right color. You got to have the glam shots. You got to have this. And it's understanding what is the most important thing, because unless you're independently wealthy, your resources are valuable.
Yeah.
And it's understanding, what do you do first? What's going to help you get to the goal? So that was one of my big blocks. And again, a coach helped me with that, because otherwise I was like all over the place. And you don't accomplish anything, Jamie, if you're just kind of throwing spaghetti against the wall.
So true. I say that all the time. I'm a huge fan. And I was just speaking to a client about this, about taking like whatever that big goal that you have is, and really breaking it down into tiny, manageable tasks that you can like get done in one sitting, and then get that satisfaction of like checking it off or crossing it off your list, and then continuing to break those down into little goals to keep you moving towards that big goal.
And that's so important to do, because, where I deal with the mindset piece besides the action is that, Jamie, when people see that big, huge mountain, it seems almost insurmountable. And so most people are going to sit there and say, like, why even bother? It's never, ever going to happen. Yeah. And so it is really key to be able to break it down, to understand both consciously and subconsciously, it's done in pieces. So that's a great action you're giving your clients. That's huge to do.
Yeah. And we don't do anything on the mindset piece, right? Like, we're all about the implementation and the strategy. Mm-hmm. And so I always love having folks talk on the mindset piece, because that's not like, I have a mindset coach. I don't feel comfortable coaching on the mindset, because that's not been a strength for me. Like, I've been in business for 15 years as of September, and I got really stuck for a long time. I let those blocks get in my way, and I wasn't moving forward. And so for somebody that's like new or been in business a while, like, what advice would you give to somebody to try and like overcome some of those blocks that are holding them back from moving forward?
Well, I think you just gave the best answer. Work with a mindset coach, right? and with me, what's interesting is, especially being from Boston, and I know you're the next state over, but Boston, you have to admit is pretty provincial, right?
Yep.
It's like they're finally getting into meditation here. It's only been out like how many, years. But the thing is, so if you had told me I would be an expert in mindset, when I was back in corporate, my head would have started spinning around, because I'd be like, what are you talking about? I was a type A. It's all about do. And so what I've been able to do is combine the two. So for somebody with mindset, one of the biggest things is to understand is that you do have blocks. Everybody does. And your mindset is at least 90 to 95% of your success or your failure. So the first step is really understanding, what are your blocks? And some are surfacey. Some you can say, gee, I always procrastinate. Okay, so that's an obvious, hey, I always procrastinate. But what's underneath it? And that's what an expert like myself will help uncover, because maybe you think, I just noticed I'm doing it. But maybe there's a reason behind it. There's always a reason behind it. And it's being able to, what I call like pulling the roots out, because the weed doesn't grow back again.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's being able to understand that, and getting that done. So the first step, when you do figure out that you have some blocks and what they are, and just even some of the surfacey ones, even that is good, because that's a start, Jamie. And we always talk about awareness being the first step. And the reason awareness is the first step is that once you say, okay, I'm aware that I procrastinate. Well, then the next time you feel yourself procrastinating, you've got two choices. You can say, you know what, I'm just a procrastinator, and that's my middle name, and I'm just going to keep going on procrastinating. Or you can say, wait a minute, I've got, I can choose to do something different. I can go get a coach to help me with procrastination. I can figure out another way to do it. I can look online or whatever. I mean, it allows you that choice. And so that's why awareness is so key. It doesn't solve the problem, but it starts moving you in that right direction.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. So I would love to know from you, I'm sure you've seen this since you've been a coach for a while, the emergence of like coaching explosion, right? Like there's so many coaches out there now.
Mm-hmm.
And from my personal experience, I've hired some really amazing ones. And I've also had some not so amazing experiences with coaching.
Yeah.
So what would you say to somebody who's looking for a coach? Like, how do you find the right coach?
That's such a great question. And I've also had lots of coaches, and some admittedly are better than others. I've always learned something from each coach, and I also have friends who've done the same, they've made good choices, bad choices, and all that. And what I think it is, and honestly, I'm going to say this is actually true on both sides, is that there are lots of coaches out there, and it's really finding out who you have a really good fit with. And so in other words, like I always tell people, like, first of all, who's going to help you get to that goal? So that's the first thing, because you really want someone who knows how to do it, not someone who, is just out there, but someone who actually knows how to do it. Then you want to see, is it aligned? So for example, where I help my clients break through to their next level. So I'm sure there's other coaches out there who do it. Maybe someone says, yep, I'm going to help you, but you've got to get up every morning at 3 a.m. and plan on and not going to sleep till, midnight. And I'm going to have you do all these things, just like a boot camp. Well, if you're a boot camp type of person, awesome. Then that's going to be your coach. If you're not, and that's not me, even though I am a coach, I'm not going to get up at 3 a.m. Then that way you understand that person's not right for you. Like where I pull in both action and mindset, the strategies and the mindset, that if someone says, I just don't believe in mindset, I mean, I would ask them why. But if they were just totally against mindset, then they're probably not a good fit for me.
Yeah.
Because, no matter how much I try to talk to them, where I pull in laws of attraction, I pull in tapping, which is probably the most powerful technique I know of to switch mindset. I pull in neuroscience, which is now a leading edge type of mindset technique. That if they're not, that I know I need that often to help people get unstuck, that if they're totally not there, then they're not my people.
Yeah.
And the thing is, what is going to be the return on this? So, it's all about ROI, right? We talk about in business, return on investment. And one thing I do want to share to Jamie and to everybody listening is that sometimes it will be monetary, okay? Sometimes it'll be like, okay, I see, my income has doubled, tripled, quadrupled, all sorts of things. Other times, I've also had clients who've been equally as thrilled, because I had one client that she actually, even though she was very smart at what she did, she kind of repelled people. So here you see her, she's out networking, she's out making sales calls, she's doing this, she's taking action. You can't fault her for taking action. But instead of drawing people in, she was actually pushing them away. So one thing I really helped her do, especially her first year with me, is to start draw people in and connect with them.
Mm-hmm.
Because, getting more clients is all about that know, like, and trust. So for her, a lot of the thing was, yes, I helped her grow her business, but it was also increasing her likability with other people. So sometimes it doesn't always show up exactly monetarily, or exactly, if you're a weight loss coach, it might not show up exactly on the scale. Maybe it shows up as confidence that now you're joining this gym, and you're doing this thing, you're doing that thing, you're going out and dating, so understand that, what is your ROI and all that kind of stuff. There's both a short-term ROI and a long-term ROI.
Yeah.
And you have a conversation, you want to make sure that person understands your goals. I had a lot of coaches who wanted to work with me, and just sharing my own story, with some of them, that it was all about them wanting to make me a mini of them. And I look at it that I did not start my own business, Jamie. I don't know how you feel about it, but I did not start out my own business to become a mini anybody.
Right. I agree completely.
But there are coaches out there that it's all got to be all about do exactly as I do. And for some people, that's okay, but that's not my type of person. And that's not who I am. I always tell people, like, this is how I've done it, or this is how I've seen other people do it. But I'm looking for them to show up in their own brilliance and not to be my shadow. And so you've got to also, for anybody out there listening, when you're choosing a coach, it's got to be the same thing too. And maybe you want to be, you want to be a mini person, and that's awesome. There's definitely a lot of coaches out there like that. And if that's your style, rock on. But if it's not, you've got to understand it and decipher, because otherwise that coach will be, okay, so there's a coach, let's say, I'm not gonna say his name, but everyone will know who he is. And it's all about like, walk on the fire, right? You all know who I'm talking about.
Yep.
Now, if you want to be, just do what I say and be blindly led across that. And that's not what I'm saying he's doing, but I'm just using that as an example. Then that's a coach. But if you want a coach who really is thinking about like what is best for you, then you've got to be able to listen to those questions and ask those questions as you're having that conversation with somebody.
Yeah, I would agree. I also I went back to school in 2010 and got a master's degree in leadership. And one of the things that I truly believe in, that I tell all my clients and I all the time on the podcast, is that, you have to own it, right? Because I'm not the one who's going to implement it for you. And if you believe it's going to work, or you don't believe it's going to work, whichever one you believe is what's going to happen, because people like self-sabotage by accident because they don't believe in the strategy that they're implementing, or they don't believe in the process, or whatever that is. And I'm sure you probably see this more than I do, but like when we're working with people implementing, say, a launch strategy for a course or whatever, I see it like where they don't fully believe in whatever process they've decided to commit to, and things come up along the way. It's crazy.
Yeah, and so to add to that, I had a client who wanted to do a VIP day with me, and she'd just done a VIP day a few months earlier with another coach. And what happened is she was working at a job. She should start her business. She ultimately wanted to exit her career and just do her business, full time. And she had a couple of health issues. And this one coach during the VIP day had her basically working like 80 hours a week. Plus this woman had a family with young kids. I mean, what she was setting up for was totally impossible. Yeah. So as much as this woman wanted to do a VIP day with me, she was nervous about the same thing happening again, of getting a strategy that just wouldn't work. Yeah. And I said to her, I said, look, wherever you, there's a saying by, I think it's Confucius, wherever you go, there you are. Yeah. And so understand, like you said, it's up to personal responsibility. The thing I also do encourage, back to what you were saying, is that I need, and this is where I always check in for feedback, how does this feel? How does it sound? Because sometimes people can say, like, this sounds really good, but I've tried it before and it didn't work. So maybe I have to do some mindset work with them. Maybe there's a reason that it didn't work, or maybe it's just not right for them. But it's also then kind of splitting it further and understanding what's under that as well.
Yeah, digging deeper for sure.
Exactly.
So I would love to know, like, what's one thing you tell your younger self?
What's one thing I tell my younger self is that things always work out for me.
Love that. I love that.
Yeah, it's one of my power statements. Yeah.
That's amazing. Cool. Do you have anything else that you want to add or share with the audience?
Yeah, if it's okay, can I just tell everyone about how about they can get a copy of a chapter of my book?
Of course.
All right. So I wrote a book, my second book. And actually, I wish I had a copy of me, and I don't. My first book was an international bestseller. I wrote it with Brian Tracy. This book just came out a couple of months ago. It's called Go or Don't Go. And it's all about making decisions, really to move forward, or else when we hesitate and stop ourselves. Okay. And so it's got both the action we were talking about, it's got the mindset. And what I'm offering people, if they want to just check it out, especially if you're new to me, you might not want to spend, the $20 on Amazon yet. So if you want to get a free chapter and just see like, do you like it? Do you not like it? If you go to katebeeders.com/chapter1, and it's the number 1, that's katebeeders.com/chapter1. And at least you can check it out and see. And, if nothing else, you're going to start getting some steps to help move you forward, which I'm all about. I'm all about results and help you get to that next level. The thing I do know is that most entrepreneurs start their business because they're excited and passionate about something. And most, unfortunately, their income level doesn't match their level of expertise. And I help change that. So that's one way of helping you start move forward.
I love it. Thank you so much. That's so awesome. I'm sure everyone will totally go. I know I'm going to go check it out. For sure.
If you do read the book, I already has 10 5-star reviews. So anybody who does read the book, I would love to get more 5-star reviews, or let me know. Email me info@katebeeders.com. Let me know what you thought. What was your favorite part of the book? Where are you stuck?
Yeah. Awesome. Kate, thank you so much for coming on the show. I super appreciate it. It was such a pleasure to have you on here. I love your insight on mindset and coaching and all that sort of fun stuff. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Jamie. I appreciate it. Everyone have a wonderful rest of the day.
You too.